Guys, welcome back to the Whiskey Blendery. We're here with our guy Tim. Now, one of the things that he does and they do here is bottle of the month. Go ahead and walk him through. He's going to tell you about the bottle of the month, come in and purchase bottle of the month, how you bottle each thing every month, and why you even do that. Why do you do that, man?
Yeah, so we've had a lot of people that say, man, I love your bottles. I would join the membership, either a social or a blending membership, if I lived closer. But I live over an hour away. So that's out. I wouldn't come up here very often. I can come up, every couple months.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of demand for like high-end exclusive bottles. So that's kind of how this was born. So every month we'll make something that we've never done before, kind of push our limits. And we've got 15 projects going next door. So we usually take whatever our best thing is right now, and then we'll right now we're about 75 members in the club, so we're only making as much whiskey as we have people in the club. So they're getting our best bottles, our best blends, and a lot of times we have a custom finish on them. So you know what a finish is now. So it's been in a secondary barrel. So a lot of these have like our first ever newest finishes or doing something else. So we had like Dad's Revival, that was one of our first ones. So we took a recipe that was really popular that we did for Father's Day. I guess it would be 2 years ago now. So we did our best to recreate it. Obviously it's not going to taste the same, but then we finished it on Amberana. Then in December we did Elf Juice. So that one was
who came up with that name?
That's a good question. Usually Andy's comes up with the names, and
Juicy. See,
it was December, and
that's not a good name, but Juice is what you call whiskey. That was one of the hip terms per se.
That's one of the hipsters call it juice. Yeah. So with this one, it was a blend of some Double Jeopardy barrels, and we finished it on a sherry cask.
Okay.
So that one was popular. Then we did our first ever wheated rye. So we took an 8.5-year rye and we added some wheat whiskey to it, which we've never done before. And that turned out awesome as is, but that was right when we got the cognac barrel in from France. And so we finished it on cognac too. So our first ever wheated rye that was then finished on cognac. So that was a really nice bottle. Then in February we did Love Language. So we took a 9.5-year.
I'm thinking February, Love Language. 14th.
Yeah, Valentine's Day, which we did a play off of the bottle that everybody comments on, the Date Night.
Oh, that's called Date Night?
Yeah, it's called Date Night.
That's a good movie, by the way.
What movie is that?
So Steve Carell's in it, and it just goes south. Okay. And they sit down and steal somebody's thing, and it just gets worse. And he's like, "Oh God, what's going on?" And these people are like, "You owe us money." It goes south, man.
You're a big movie guy.
I love movies, man. Yeah. I love movies.
Yeah. So that one was our first ever port finished whiskey.
Yeah.
Actually, our first finished whiskey ever, and it turned out awesome. Like that one has a huge following. So we took the same barrel that we finished Date Night in, and we hadn't used it since. So then we finished this and called it Love Language in the same port barrel as Date Night.
Now the question is, people, do you know your love language? There are 5 of them, right?
Well, is whiskey one of them?
It is now.
So yeah, this was a 9.5-year blend of bourbons that we finished on that, which was outstanding. Then we had those really like old, dusty, funky barrels that were 11 years old. So we made this blend and called it Old School Oak, and this was a fan favorite also. So like I said, we're using our best stuff at the time to make these, so the people in the club are getting badass bottles that nobody else is getting. You have to be in the club to get it. You can't walk in off the street and say, "Hey, can I get this month's bottle of the month?" No, you have to sign up for the club. So, and what that means is basically they're committing to buy 1 bottle per month for at least 3 months.
Okay.
So, and then for that we discount it 20%. So what normally would be $125, they're getting it for $100.
Huh. That's fair.
And so so then they can come in, and so like in 2 weeks we're also having like a VIP tasting. So we take some of our allocated bottles that are just my personal collection. We teach people about whatever distiller that is.
Yeah.
and then have them try bottles they probably have never even seen before. So that's an added bonus for people that are in this club or the social or the blending membership, that they get to do this every 60 days. So
and that's everybody kind of like going to share and just, hey.
No, that's really us sharing. So Andy does an awesome job on that. So he already knows a ton of information about all these distilleries, but then he'll find some facts like you just don't know.
You just can't even like.
Yeah, and then or he'll call the people up and say, hey, here's what we're doing. We're trying to honor you guys with the tasting. What's something that nobody knows that we should share? So those are really fun tastings. So we've got one coming up in a couple weeks. You're welcome to join that if you want.
I'll definitely be there.
And then which one's
April
that?
Orchard.
April Orchard, yeah. So that one just had a medley of different fruits that just really good. So that was a very complex blend. So these are getting from like single barrels and finishes to where now we're getting very complex blends. So the stuff that we're blending now is like a 4 and 5 barrel blend of like different mash bills. So imagine 5 different mash bills, which is very hard. So now we're getting into this like realm of things that taste like certain fruits, but now we're not finishing anything. So now we were finishing, but now we're getting these defined flavors and these defined fruits. So like this month, tomorrow, Mapricot comes out, and it noses and tastes like apricot.
It does, people. I tried it.
And that is just from the blend. So now we're like leveling up again on, nope, we didn't finish it in an apricot brandy barrel. We didn't do any of that. We made this blend that tastes like apricots just based on 4 to 5 barrels that we used at the right ratios to create this flavor profile.
Look, what happens when you go too far? Is there a way to dial it back?
You lose money.
That's when it's gone too far. When the numbers don't add up anymore.
Yeah, because then you're just blending, and it just takes too long, and you waste too much whiskey, and and then it's like, hey, yeah, we created this. It took us 4 weeks to make it, and that's too long. Like,
how long should it take to come up with one of these magical blends?
Yeah, I would say. I would say a couple weeks is kind of the max. Like if we can't figure out in a couple weeks, because it's almost like a challenge that, hey, I don't want to give up on this. It's almost there. Like we have 4 or 5 projects next door that are so close. They're almost there to where if you would just come in off the street and try it, you'd be like, oh, this is fantastic. But I know there's an answer to get it just over that hump to make it exceptional. Yeah. So then we'll spend probably too much time getting
that.
Yeah, just
so it's like a 2% problem you're trying to fix.
Exactly right. Yeah, I'm throwing 80% resources at a 2% problem just to get it over the notch there. But yeah, that's the Bottle of the Month Club. They're exclusive to the people, and every bottle's numbered. So this is number 1 of 74, Bottle of the Month Club, and you have to be in the club to get it. And then there's other perks to being in the club too. So
guys, as you see, we're here at the Whiskey Blender. He has a very unique structure and way in which it's like a concierge whiskey business, like literally it's like a whiskey bar with no drinks unless you're just drinking whiskey. And this is, everything I've tried, and I've only tried, I think maybe a couple of these. I don't think I've tried none of these.
Yeah, some of these older ones, because everybody picks up the bottle and then they're gone, so we can't make them again.
What's one of the first things you realized or learned from having your club? And let me make sure I'm asking the right question. People start things. You got your club. People join the club. Clearly, you've got 75 people in there. What about this keeps them coming back?
Yeah, I think the uniqueness of the whiskey. So they can't go to the store and buy any of these bottles.
No.
So they want rare whiskey that tastes really good, that's like ultra high end, and it's like, man, and they're excited because they don't know what the next bottle is going to bring next month.
Yeah.
They can have some creative input. So sometimes people say, hey man, it'd be awesome if we had something like this or like that, and then that's one of the projects we're working on. So but yeah, it keeps them coming back because the whiskey is so good, the value is so good at $100 to get some of this stuff that's like pushing 11 years old and finished and super small, anywhere from 50 to 75 bottles, and exclusive that nobody else has it, and you can't go to the store and get anything like it. So it's a great value.
There you go, people. Well, I can tell you, everybody I brought in here always feels valued. And the whiskey,
because they are.
Hey, and the whiskey is of value. And if you do live in Texas and you happen to be somewhere in the DFW area and you're interested in stopping by and trying some whiskey it's in Oak Point, Texas, to be clear, at the Whiskey Blendery, you open 4 or 5 days a week, 12 to 4.
Yeah, right now we're open Tuesday through Friday, noon to 6, and on Saturday, 11 to 4. Close Sunday, Monday.
Well, we're going to keep putting out stuff so you guys can learn a little bit more about whiskey.
So there is a warning I like to tell people, because we usually have, 1 or 2 bottles open of the current month. So I usually warn them that, hey, be careful, because once you try that, then you're going to join the club.
Yeah.
So don't try it if you don't want to join the club, because it's that good.
Yeah, and I love that he's got this. It's kind of like force your hand, but if you don't want to join the club, there's plenty of other bottles that you could buy.
Yep.
That's for dang sure, people. Stay tuned.